You need help with your life and don't want to be scammed? Sick of big banks and no help from big government? Look no further. Bedard, the heavyweight Main Street champion, will help you knock out the BS and find the truth. Live from MainStreetForum.org, here's Mo.
Founder of LoanSafe.org. I'm a little more pepped up than I was before the break. And that was a word from our sponsor, YouWalkAway.com. Thank you to John Maddox. I want to talk about a fighter. We had Eye of the Tiger there in that break, Rocky, famous movie. And you might want to see it. It just, it gives you a lot of motivation. And that's what we need out there right now during this tough time. And especially when you're fighting to save your home. I talk to people all the time, and, there's really, I could write the book, a book on getting a loan modification in one page. It's not rocket science. It's really the person that can afford their home, just not their loan. They need a little help on their loan. They got a job. They have full-time income coming in, and they just need some help from their lender to adjust their mortgage rate in order for them to save their home. And that's all really you need to get the modification. But the major component, I would say, is these. Not necessarily these physically, your fist, but your mental fist. Are you tough? Can you fight for 6 months, a year, 18 months? Some people 4 years. I'll talk about that here shortly. That's really what it takes, is a lot of fight. And doing this almost every day until you get your modification. The constant follow-up, making sure you don't get your home sold at auction, after you get your notice of default, and constantly communicating with your mortgage servicer or the attorney that might be handling the sale, or the nonprofit that you might be working with. And a lot of people are working with nonprofits, and they think that the nonprofit is just going to magically do everything for them, and they're not going to make any mistakes. But what I'm finding is a lot of people are making mistakes. You have the mortgage servicers who are inundated with millions of foreclosures and loan modifications, and then you have the nonprofits that are just as inundated, and you have humans that make mistakes. And you guys know that out there, that can happen. And that's what we're seeing, is because the crisis is so large, these mistakes are just getting multiplied and multiplied. And you got to know that going into this. You got to know that when you're doing this, that this is happening. And you got to keep fighting. And you can't take this personal. There was an article in the Fresno Bee. It talked about an ex-amateur fighter, which I thought was pretty cool. His name was Armando Alvarez, a former amateur boxer who scored a knockout in his toughest fight, getting a bank to modify his interest rate mortgage, on his interest rate on his mortgage. Alvarez, who turns 55 in March, was able to cut his monthly payments from $1,655 to $535 over the next 5 years. Yeah, incredible. His mortgage payment went from $1,655 down to $535. And I've seen this happen before, where, people are up at 7, 8%, or even 6%, and they get a 2% interest rate. I've seen 1% interest rates. It doesn't happen all the time, but it seems like it's always the fighters, the ones that keep fighting and show and befriend the other people that work with the mortgage servicers, and they're nice to them, but they're firm, and, they make sure that they treat these people that are just working for the servicers or just working for the nonprofit just for a paycheck. They treat them with respect, but they also are fighters, at the same time. It ain't going to take no bullshit. They're going to keep fighting, and they're going to keep fighting. And when you go over to LoanSafe.org, my forum that I operate with thousands of homeowners, over 26,000 members, most of them homeowners fighting to save their homes. The ones that have the success stories are the ones that keep fighting. And the ones that are fighting now are the ones that are going to be success stories, even though it doesn't seem like it. And unfortunately, even fighters get knocked out sometimes. And we're seeing people that fight and still get foreclosed on. And that's just, it's a terrible part of this crisis. but it's something I do not see ending anytime soon. You guys got to keep fighting like Rocky. Keep those dukes up. Keep a positive mental outlook on everything. Don't just concentrate on this loan modification all the time. You got to have other activities that you're doing. Take a walk, get out, do things like that. Maybe start a website, work on your future, on your income. And I'll talk about that at the end of the show, helping you make money online. So keep fighting for that mortgage modification. All right, guys and gals.